Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whenever you're watching or listening to this. My name is Lisa, and this is Link Up Leaders. As always, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Francois Jeffrey. Francois, how are you doing today, hon?
I am great. How about you? How's the
I'm
weather down
doing,
there?
it's colder today than it was yesterday, like significantly. It's very strange. It was like in the 80s yesterday, and today we're kind of hovering. Well, everybody else thinks it's nice. I think it's too cold. It's like 70, but I want it to be like 85. So,
Atlanta's a little weird lately.
yeah, she's always like that. And then it's probably
Yeah.
going to pour for the next week and a half. What's it like in Pittsburgh?
Great. It's 70s, so can't
Good.
complain.
That's the warmest it's ever been for any time I've been in Pittsburgh. I used to just always go in the wintertime. So,
Yeah.
anyway, enough about the weather. Well, I guess we can still talk about the weather. Our guest today is joining us from sunny, I assume, Boca Raton, Florida. We have Tomer David with Sourcing Monster. Tomer, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you very much. And yeah, it's a very lovely day here. It's 80 degrees and the sky are clear. It's beautiful.
That's where I need to be. I'm relocating.
And he's got the beach and he's surfing. Well, not so much surfing anymore, but he's living it up down in Boca.
Living it up.
Amazon's got to be doing something right.
For sure, for sure.
That's
Thank
for
you
sure.
for having me here.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. So, for anybody who's not familiar with you, why don't you just give us a quick background about what you do, how you got into e-com, maybe just a little bit about Sourcing Monster, and then we'll just go ahead and have a chat. So, tell us about you.
Yeah, sure. So how I got into e-commerce, I think it's like 10 years ago where we had a jewelry business where we talked about it like before. And that's how I basically discovered e-commerce and did SEO and online marketing and manufacturing. Almost 3 years ago, I started to sell on Amazon. And the last year, I started a YouTube channel where I share all the experiences and everything pretty much that I learn, I share with YouTube audience that I'm trying to create and basically give back. I have two Amazon brands. We use there are private label brands, not wholesale. One in the beauty category and one in the toys category. And it's something that I really enjoy. And I think that the business model and the opportunity that it allows you to create is just amazing. Like you said, we're moving to a new house. So I'm just like, if I had another job, I couldn't just like leave, go check what's going on, or it's very, very flexible and I love it. It's amazing in my opinion.
So, your brands, you said they're in beauty and in toys. How did those do with COVID?
I don't think COVID really directly like influenced like these categories. For toys for sure at the beginning, but I only opened this brand like at the end of last year.
Okay.
Q4 was great. It was out of stock like everyone else. But I think that in general the entire like world started to shop online, so any category is just like affected by it.
Were you lucky enough to already be selling jigsaw puzzles?
Not yet.
That was the big ticket item for a minute there.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone and their mothers had a puzzle
Mhm.
going on the
For sure.
kitchen table.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we talked last week pretty in depth actually on Sourcing Monster. We talked about supply chain. You made me look pretty good with some well lined up questions, so I appreciate that first of all.
One of the
But
best interviews I had. Really, I really enjoyed it.
I appreciate that. I
Mhm.
really do. But I think one component, and again, this is something that I've probably said to you 10,000 times, but one component that no one really talks about is the supply chain, right? And everyone talks about their journey of product research. Everyone talks about their journey of losing a bunch of money on PPC and not getting any sales and trying to find out how to, fix these issues.
Mhm.
But when you first started 3 years ago, how did you go about setting up your initial supply chain? I guess with the beauty category.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it like or planned it like I do now or understand now. I just flowed with what I need to do. So I didn't really have a strategy or anything in mind. Just like okay, I need to ship, so I'm gonna find someone to ship it, like a freight forwarder. Didn't really know what I'm doing as far as inventory management,
Mhm.
things that I do know now. And I guess it's just the learning curve that you to need to have when you start any new business. And for me, it was new, even though I was ordering some goods from China before. I did some importing, but not at this scale. We used to actually one I remember from my previous business, one important or one time we had a really big issue with one of the shipments of ring boxes. We would sell like jewelry, so the ring boxes we would uh, at the beginning would order them domestically in New York. But then I like told my brother, which was my partner, why don't we order from China? We can save like they are basically the people we are buying from. They are buying from China and they're branding it here. They're doing the same thing. So we went, doing this, but we didn't do inspection. So the sample was good, but then we got like 15,000 boxes. They're all like very bad quality that when you open it, it just breaks. So we lost everything, like as far as the inventory. Maybe we recovered like 2,000 or 1,500. I don't really remember the exact number. But this, I remember this experience really make me like inspect my like the first few orders that I did. Now I know, and many people like wouldn't agree with that, I don't really do inspection for every shipment because
Oof,
I the
that hurts me. That
yeah,
pains me.
because it works well for me. Like the people I deal with, the factories that I don't do the inspection, I really trust them, and they're not letting me down. So it just I stopped doing it. But definitely for every new item, the first few shipments we do inspection. um but yeah, the supply chain is it's not something that I had a strategy. Now I do have a strategy where I plan everything. We have a forecasting module. We do have a safe stock. We kind of like all the issues that I had in my business, I'm kind of implementing them like to prevent them in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a leaky bucket when you first start, right? And you have a lot of holes in your bucket. And you're just finding new ways to plug those holes. Now,
Exactly.
some of those are just band-aids. They'll get ripped off very easily. Some of them are great solutions. But I mean, like you said, it's all about experience and that learning curve. I'm curious, how did you first find your suppliers for the ring boxes or I guess, any of your first products?
Yeah. So I guess like everyone else, like on Alibaba,
Mhm.
and I just my first item, I was kind of which was failing. I was lucky. They really like explained everything in a very clear way. I guess they felt that I'm really beginner and they gave me answers already. Like, oh, you have to do this. You have to put the Amazon label. They guided me and helped me a lot. And this product was a fail, and I almost gave up on on Amazon. And then after a couple of months I tried again, and this product was a success. I felt that with the second product I just like ordered a couple of samples. But definitely Alibaba, it's a good place to find suppliers from my experience.
Yeah, I agree. I
Mhm.
100% agree. And I think it's more so that there are great players on Alibaba more than there's not. But the issue is, especially when you're brand new and you're just starting out, it just takes one, right? It just takes one bad apple, one bad quality control inspection. It just takes one, supplier that doesn't deliver on time or delivers the wrong product. Um, and
That's why
and
you
and
have to
that's what I
protect yourself, right?
Exactly. And
Mhm.
so, all we are is we provide a lot of risk aversion. And then you could do that by, not dealing with trade agents. You could do that by working with larger factories. You could also do that by just being very well prepared. This is something we talked about last week. And knowing your product and doing the research on it and knowing what sort of quality levels you're expecting and planning out budgets. You guys are going to have to check out that episode that we did with Tomer. Otherwise, I'm going to dive into that. But when it came to I guess, purchasing from them initially, did you use Alibaba Trade Assurance also?
Yeah. So you're right. Like it takes one bad apple to make like a really bad experience. And yesterday, it's funny. Yesterday, I did upload a video on how to source from Alibaba, which I covered those like this exact question, like how you protect yourself. So the first thing I love doing is like not love, but it's a must for me. It's a trade assurance. Like make sure that you buy with the trade assurance. And I did have two times where I had to contact Alibaba with two suppliers that didn't really provide on time. They were stretching me. Once I did contact Alibaba, they're like, for me, it gives me a lot of trust in Alibaba because I saw how they handled this. The factory was so scared. Immediately, like the top manager called to my cell phone and said, "We're gonna fix it. We're gonna figure it out." That makes me feel that they have a lot of leverage over the suppliers with the trade insurance. I don't know what kind of funds they are holding, or but the factories and suppliers are scared. Either they're going to be removed from the platform, or maybe they have some funds that they keep them from getting before they actually ship the goods, or after, I don't know. But for me, it gives me a lot of confidence knowing that the trade insurance works when you actually need it. So definitely to pay only suppliers that have trade insurance. I had many cases they tell me, "Oh no, send me wire off off Alibaba," but do not do that. Like, make sure that you stick to Alibaba, or at least pay with PayPal. PayPal, they also have this kind of protection when you buy goods. And I had actually a supplier from India that we agreed about like 30 days, and it took them like 120 days. So after like 70 days, I was telling him like, "Look, you have to really produce." And then he stretched me and more and more and more, to a point that we got into 120 days from when we placed the order. And I just felt that I can't trust these people. I put a dispute through PayPal and I won. Like, they didn't. And the funny part is, these guys, like this factory from India, it actually provided PayPal tracking numbers showing that I received the goods, but he provided the tracking number for the samples. Now,
Mm.
I had to explain
Oh,
PayPal. Look, he's trying to like to
yeah.
make you feel that he actually delivered the goods. These are just samples. It was back and forth, but at the end of the day, like, I got my money back. So I two things to protect myself when I deal with suppliers. One, I always try to pay with credit cards. Yeah, it's maybe gives like it's extra money for the transaction fees. At the other end, you get points. Second thing is to do the trade insurance, because if the trade insurance Alibaba won't help you, at least you have your credit card. You can put a dispute on the actual charge.
Mhm.
So those are the two things that I do. And of course, I check the profile, I check who they are, where they're from, the communication. If something smells like fishy or doesn't seems right, I just try to avoid those people.
Mm. And
Communication is a big part of it. Like, if
yeah,
they communicate fast, if their answers is good.
and I would love to dive deeper into that, because I think that is very important. So, for example, your supplier in India, you guys had a 30-day expectation of a turnaround for manufacturing. What happened, I guess, throughout that? Were you checking in within those 30 days? And when it got there, what
Yeah.
did they just not answer? What went on there?
So they would just, like, just threat me, like tell me that, oh yeah, in a couple of days they would respond, which kept me kind of, that's what kept me really 120 days. But really, last thing I wanted to do is put the dispute, but I had no choice. But they replied to me. They gave me samples before. Um, yeah, it was the pandemic and they used it as excuses, but
Mm.
at the end of the day, I'm not really there to really I have to take care of my business. I can't really understand or know, or have patience to understand what's their issues.
But how did that go at day 30, for example?
Okay,
What
so they told
prevented you?
me 15 more days, okay, or
Okay.
20 more days. And I said, look, it's okay, maybe due to the pandemic, okay, let's see what's going on.
Mhm.
Then just like that, it was my secondary brand with the toys. So I wasn't really pressured. It's a new item also, so it's not launched and I'm waiting. So I kind of like flowed with it, which wasn't really a good thing. But that was the case with them.
Mm. So yeah,
Mm.
it sounds like there definitely was some give and take, and they try to, in this case, they try to play you. You have cash that's tied up there, and you bought the inventory, and you were expecting to launch, I'm sure, and they played you, and fortunately, you did get that money back. That's great. That's awesome to hear. A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't put those measures in place. And just to give that YouTube video a plug, is that like you just search Sourcing Monster in YouTube, and then it'll be one of the first videos?
Oh, for the YouTube, yeah, you can search for
Okay.
some more.
Okay.
We've actually got the link to his channel in the comments of this video. And
Perfect.
we'll also link it in the audio
YouTube.
description as well. So, but Francois, I don't think you're episode is live quite yet, right?
No. I was talking about his protection YouTube
protection one,
video.
got it.
Yeah,
Yep.
because that is very important.
I can pull that one specifically.
It's important that people
And
realize
also try to really minimize the down payment. That's also
Mm.
one thing. I see a lot of factories, you agree on them. I mean, maybe you don't talk with them about the amount because you think it's supposed to be 30/70. But I see that some factories, some suppliers will try to put like 50%, and then when you actually come to pay, you see 50%, even though you might talk to them about it, or just pay attention that you put like 20% or 10% down or 30 max. So you have leverage on them. They have the goods ready, and you still have like the 70% remaining balance.
Yeah, and that's important to talk about too. But what is your process for interacting with them initially? I'm guessing it's not just, hey, tell me your price, and that's it.
Yeah.
How do you go about that?
So I really tweaked my system to get the best prices with really and be very effective with it, because communication can take sometimes days and hours. So we would have a product idea, and then we want to get a quote, and we would see that it could take us like days and weeks to just communicate, and we thought, okay, how we improve the process, how we make it faster, like the name of the channel, Sourcing Monster. I like to do things in a very speedy way, like do it and just source as many products in the really short time. So really important that we found that the template where you initially talk with them should really have no fluff, right to the point, and ask them the important questions for you to really do the initial filtering with suppliers that you want to continue talk with, or suppliers that you see that they're either not serious or they have too much clients and they don't really care about you. For me, it's really important to work with people that respond very quick. Because if they don't respond to you quick before you actually place an order, most chances that after you place an order, when you need something or you have question, they will not really be responsive. So that's one thing. It's really important, communication, how fast they respond. In the email, or the first email that we send them template, I tell them upfront, we want this amount of units. This is the target price. I don't tell them what is your price. I tell them this is what I'm willing to pay, even if it's really low. And usually I try to put it very low, because it breaks this negotiation like cycle. Why? Because they already know I'm not willing to pay more than $3. I'm not like going back and forth. What is your price? I got an offer. Immediately you get prices that are aligned with what you want, or if not, at least they tell you no, and you just move to the next one.
So are they low but reasonable?
Yes, of course, not too low to a point that they would say they ignore me. You have to really, it's a fine line. You want to make it low, but not too low, so they will say, "Oh, who is this guy? He doesn't even know what he's talking about."
And then do you, and I'm sorry for cutting you off, but do you reverse engineer that price to find out like a certain profit margin? Is that what you do?
Yes. We use also 1688. 1668 or 16. I'll always
1688.
1688.
Yeah. So it's saved as a bookmark, so I don't have to remember. But we check there the prices, and for the initial check, and then after, if we can't really get close to the price, we will dig deeper into 1668. And we will actually find like a couple of examples, and we'll send them, and we'll tell them, look, in China, that's the prices that you guys sell it between each other. Why you're selling it double the price? And then it's really a big help. It helps also to people I coach. I don't really do a lot of coaching, but to the people that I coach, really helped get much better prices. Even if you think you got a good price, check this website just as a second layer, or second opinion, second quote, kind of. That's really a big help. We also tell them that this is just a test order. It's not the real order. We tell them that we are, I like to do this thing where we use like my VA name when we actually send the quote, and then after a while, if she can't really like figure like get the best price, or I want to talk with her, then it comes to me, and then they speak like with someone higher. And then if like the price is not good, I always like to blame someone. Oh, I'm not the owner. Like I'm gonna blame someone else, like the owner, and then we can. It's a leverage, because sometimes you let them wait like a day or 3 days, and they are like, oh, what's going on, why he's not getting back to me? And I say, no, it's the owner, he didn't reply yet. But what I'm actually doing is let them like be eager to do business with it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I had good experience with letting them wait. Just don't reply to their messages. They will freak out. They will just send you messages. And I like also to do it on WeChat. So that's a big thing. Immediately, I tell them, if you can meet those requirements for faster communication, please add me on WeChat, and this is my WeChat ID, and please write down that this is in regards to this product. Because if you do source multiple products at the same time, you can have so many friend requests on WeChat, and you don't really know who is this guy about. So when you see the request and they're telling you this is for that, but it keeps things much more organized. So that's pretty much the process on how we communicate with the suppliers. And then it comes into really nice Excel that we have quotes from each supplier with videos and pictures of the product before the sample, and it helps you really decide faster like which supplier to go with. For me, it's the communication, price, of course, and the production time. These are the things that are really important to get a decision.
And so quality, it doesn't play too big of a factor in there?
Well, no, that's for the first check. The quality would
Okay.
be checked after I get the samples. So let's say I get 10 quotes, I will choose like 2 or 3 that they have the best price, the best communication, and best production time, like the faster, and then I will choose based on the quality. Yes.
No, that makes sense.
It's like a bracket system. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, this is a lot more thorough of a process than I know of a lot of businesses that are pretty successful on Amazon actually have. How do you incorporate virtual assistants into this mix? And maybe that requires backing up into maybe just telling us how you first started with virtual assistants and brought them into your Amazon business.
Yeah, so first I started with to a point that I have if I'm not wrong, it was $3,000 profit, like 2 or 3 months, and then I decided, you know what, this could pay easily like for a VA, and I definitely should hire. That was like 5 months after I started. And then because I had like experience with the previous business working with VAs, it was kind of natural for me to start working and delegate. I understood the power of it and what it can bring to your business, to the growth, using other resources. You can't do everything yourself. You have to focus. For me, focus is really something I work on every day. Every day it's a struggle because you have so many distractions, and focus is the number one key, I think, to my success and many other people's success in Amazon, because you have so many things that you have to do, and you really have to make sure that you give everything except like strategy and thinking to the VAs pretty much. So your time is free to grow it. Really think, really bring what you your skills and your like I said, skills to the business and help it grow it. That's how I look at things.
Yeah, it seems to align with the thinking of having the VAs to help you work in the business so that you can work on the business and step back and be strategic, and they can kind of take care of the day-to-day, more repeatable tasks almost.
For sure.
Or time consuming, if nothing else, like factory research.
For sure. And people sometimes confuse or think that VAs are like can do only like data entry tasks or very simple tasks, but you'll be surprised. There are so much talent overseas, whether it's Philippines, Europe, all over. You have such a great talent that you can hire that could replace very important tasks in your business, like forecasting. This is something that I did at the beginning, but I said to myself, like, there is no way that someone else can do it. Like, if you build the right systems, the right modules, and you keep like building these systems, anyone can do it. I always say to myself, to people, or including myself, that having a task that they think no one else can do, like, show them like McDonald's, the owner works in McDonald's, they do or Amazon, like the owner works in Amazon, like he doesn't do everything. It's just on the top, making sure that the ship goes the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I look at it. Sometimes it's hard for people to let go, but definitely I think that's an area that is like it's the basic of growth. Like you have to, in order to grow fast, you have to hire more. And actually this week, one of the VAs that I worked with almost 2 years, she was like really my hero's VA, and she had to leave. She recently had some health issues, and we're
Mm-hmm.
finding now a replacement. And instead of getting a one replacement, I actually hired two today. So even though I don't have enough tasks to give them, it will force me to think what else I can outsource. So inbox management, accounting, the YouTube channel that I have, like the Amazon business, like everything that I do, I'm just building processes and give to the VAs.
Mm-hmm.
And so
That's how.
what is that first thing that you started to outsource, or first cluster of things, I guess?
Yeah, I remember it was Amazon Post just it came in, if I'm not wrong, and I was doing it with Canva or PicMonkey, I forgot what service, and I'm terrible at this, but she came in and she like did much better job. Like at first, I gave her like simple tasks, of course, like social media and stuff like that, just where we can get to know each other and build this trust. And then the more we progressed, the more I teach her about things and give her the more tasks to work on. Then we started to build our SOPs. So now hiring someone new, it's much faster process as far as like training and getting into the role than before, because it's all written, it's all organized with videos, with text and graphics. So that's how I started. I started very slow compared to today when I hire,
And
where we have all the resources.
where do you house like all of your SOPs, like the videos and the pictures and like the flow chart of tasks? Like how do you provide those to your new VAs?
Yeah, it's funny because I was in a meetup this week in Miami
Mhm.
with Carlos Alvarez. You know him?
We do.
Yeah, great
So
guy.
yeah, he explained, we talked about it, and I said like I have at first it was Google Documents, just like
Mhm.
folder with SOPs, really mess. Then we moved to Google Sites. The reason why I moved to a Google site
Hmm.
is with the search capabilities that it have. So for us to find specific topic with the previous way with Google Documents, it was really not the Google Drive searching is not that great.
Mhm.
But the Google Sites, you actually put a word and it will give you all the results that contain these words within your pages. So that was a big thing for me. But Carlos said that he works with Process Street, which I didn't try before, and he said that's what he used for his SOPs, and he have 242 VAs.
Oh my
So
god.
so he probably knows what he's doing, and that's actually in my list to check it. I remember writing notes. Of checking Process Street, it's called. That's what he's
Process
using.
Street. Okay.
But like he's monster in hiring and delegating, and he's doing like it's really crazy. Like he have like the bank accounts, VAs, they have credit cards, they managing his inbox, like really everything. And
Yeah.
he's someone I really look at as an example of how I want to operate my business.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's impressive, managing 242 VAs. We've
He's not he have like a structure where but he's not talking to them. He's not like and he said one of his goals is that he can manage everything from the phone. So he's like
Mm.
he's really master at this, and we can all learn from him. But basically at the beginning, when you don't have a lot of resources, you start small, you keep doing things by yourself. The more you grow, the more that you should outsource. And if you don't, you're probably gonna have a plateau or not grow that much, because I think the leader or the owner of a business should always really have the strategic and the thinking on, and those things are kind of hard to replace.
Mhm. Yeah, either you're not going to be able to expand your ability to grow the business, or if you have a really hot product that's growing faster than what you have, then you're going to end up sabotaging yourself, I think, if you aren't able to keep up with the demand and the posting and everything else. So no,
For
that's
sure.
really good.
And how do they help you with your supply chain? Because I would imagine you have this very well structured out. You have an Excel document with all the different suppliers. You know the intro that you're going to give to them. You have the WeChat set up. You even have the format of how they need to send you the WeChats. So you have this all very well structured. How do you incorporate VAs into your supply chain effectively?
Right, great question. So first of all the communication with the freight forwarder is done with they do it. So the creating of the plans, they do it. So if we need to ship goods, they are in the loop. I will tell them, please talk with this supplier because we are going to have tomorrow a big shipment ready. And there is a template because at the beginning I just told them create a shipping plan, but then we had mistakes. So now we have a template that call like, okay, what ASIN, dimensions and number of units for each carton, who is shipping it. We have some shipping directly with the freight forwarder. In some cases it doesn't make sense, the supplier uses forwarder. So who is shipping it? And it's super important because it's being filled in the inventory control file where they see at any given moment where each shipment is. We have colors, we have alerts that if it's over 40 days for sea shipping, then they know, okay, who shipped it. They go, they check, and then they talk to him. Look, it's over 40 days. What's the status of this? At the end of the day, I get a report with all the status of shipments that are open, that have issues, that are lost, and that kept me informed on what's going on. Only for those that we define the rules for, like over 40 days for sea shipping, over 2 weeks for air shipping. Then we also check they have been delivered, but they checked in Amazon, because sometimes it could take like a week to 10 days just to checked in, but it was delivered. And I need to know about it. I don't want to check it daily. So they check it. And they give me like a nice report at the end of the day that really will allow me in like 2 minutes to really skim it and see if there is any issues. Okay, that's how we manage the shipments. Then we have the forecasting, the same kind of thing, like twice a week. The guy that work on the forecasting, plug in the numbers, which I hired a guy that's really good with Excels, and he actually showed me new tricks that I didn't know, from pulling the data from Amazon and then plugging it to our file. And it's really cool. And then the same, like twice a week, I get a report. Okay, Tomer, we have to place, like, it shows me which items, how many days we have. So it's easy. I don't really need to do these checks myself. I get a report, and then based on the report, I can manage everything, like tell them, like talk with the suppliers or place new orders or send more inventory from 3PL. That's how we manage basically the supply chain.
And so do they also interact with your 3PLs? And I'm assuming your 3PLs are in the US. And let's also, let's
3PL is
clarify.
my garage.
Your garage. Okay.
Oh, it is.
Where
Not
are you
anymore, though.
mainly, are you only selling on Amazon.com?
No, we sell
No,
on
okay.
Etsy, Walmart, on Shopify store, eBay, everywhere. I think, like everywhere that's possible, we just throw the feed and let it sell. Yeah, of course it's not like Amazon, but it gives you some extra sales. Yeah, and we use like either deliver to do the Walmart orders, or doing like multi channel fulfillment through Amazon. You know, we don't use our,
Yeah.
so 3PL, it's funny, but I use it in the garage. It's like 2-car garage and it's full of stocks. Not anymore due to the pandemic. I don't really believe that I should or want to deal with any inventory. Now it's not the case anymore. Everything is back to normal. They lifted the amount of units that you can ship to Amazon, so it goes directly to Amazon, or I store in China too. My freight forwarder, they have some items that are sitting there for like a year. They're upset. Tomer, we have these items that still, it takes a lot of space. It's an item that doesn't move, and I don't know what to do with it. So I just keep it there. Or in my suppliers, I like to make things more efficient. I like them to produce already. They keep it, and I ship on demand. So that's cut off the production time. Like, it's just eliminated.
Do you finance those orders ahead of time?
What do you mean, like finance head? Like if it's already paid? No.
Yeah.
So
No.
no. So that's the agreement that I can with them. We'll put the down payment, the 20%, and then they will produce everything, and then I ship on demand, so it doesn't time my cash flow.
Wow.
Hmm.
That's amazing. That's something that I think a lot of business owners and Amazon sellers and just e-commerce businesses in general need to strive for. Now, why do they do this for you? I'm guessing it's not because you just told them, "Hey, you have to do this," but why do they do this for you?
So it started with one supplier that really we always were tied, and there was a lot of stress and pressure from my end, like you have to do it fast, you have to do it fast, or it doesn't ready, we're gonna lose like money and here. And they offered, they offered this actually, but they offered this after like a year working together. We have this relationship, and they offered, what, you put the down payment, and we'll store them here and we'll ship them when you need them. Of course, we can't hold it for like a year, but a couple of months, and then we place a new order. They offered this, and I said like, wow, yes, let's do it, of course. And then I tried to convince some other suppliers to do the same, and they didn't really want to. Now I do have a couple of more that do that, but not everyone are. Basically, they lose the money, or their cash flow is tight, not mine.
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take for you to get to this point with the supplier?
So it was after a year.
1 year.
1 year. Okay. Yeah, I mean that's a
Seems
long
quick.
time. Oh, well, I think it's a long
Oh,
time when
is
it
it?
comes to well, not necessarily to these terms, but to staying with a supplier. Nowadays,
Oh, yeah.
especially, I do see a lot of businesses, and it's particularly newer sellers that immediately want to jump ship. They
Mm.
see one little issue, they see a quality control issue, or they see their supplier might not respond to them, or COVID affected them in some way, or what's happening to everyone. Raw material supply prices are going up, and so they had to requote these. And immediately their first thought, or the trade war from a few years ago, their first thought is always, we have to leave. We have to find a new one. We have to go somewhere else. We're going to find something better somewhere else. But you worked with the supplier, and you said you guys had struggles, and throughout that year, I'm sure you had several struggles. Whether that's with pricing, whether that's with communication. But yeah, I don't know why it is necessarily, but it just happens. And to any of those sellers, I think this really holds a true and tried story of, hey, through the toughest times, you can actually make something great out of it. You can have them essentially finance 80% of your order, cut out all of your lead time for manufacturing, and just have a better supply chain. But yeah, no, I mean,
Relationship is everything. Like if you I guess if you come to a point where you want to change your supplier, there's something in trust that is not there, like you just can't trust them. But I always try to make things right before jumping into this, like because for me it's much more work finding a new supplier than trying to figure out those issues with the current supplier. So I always look at it, I try to be smart, not right, like I don't try to say them, oh, I'm gonna go to for these little things, I'm gonna leave you and move to someone else, or they don't like to hear it. The same, like if you they will tell you, oh, we don't want to work with you, like it doesn't sounds well. You have to really try to work, respect them, and relationship is everything. You have to build it and work on it. And because I had great relationship with this supplier during the pandemic, they were under lockdown, and I tell them, look, my product selling like crazy for like the first month of COVID, and I don't know what to do. Like I'm out of stock in like a month. You have to help me. And they told me like, it's a lockdown. What can we do? And back and forth like that, couple of days. What's going on? What is? And then I told them, wait, maybe workers can work at home. It's a textile item. And he said, you know what? Let me check something. The next day he comes back to me and he said, I checked with the factory. We're gonna give the employees the sewing machine to do it, to work at home, and they actually produce the
Wow.
products at home. And I was like, and I knew that all of my competitors, big and small, no one would have this magic, and that really helped me like gain this advantage. And since there, that's where I became the leader of this niche. um and it really helped me.
Yeah, that is
Wow.
unique. So then once they were making your product out of their home, what did the logistics from that point look like? Or did you have visibility into that? Like, were
So
they
basically, for me, it was the same thing. They took care of it. The items, I guess, that the people produced at home were back to the somehow to the main factory for packing. Um, or they just waited when the lockdown was kind of okay and then they gave to the factory to pack. But I know at the end of the day that I got the stocks,
you
the
got your stuff?
inventory. So I wasn't really involved on, okay, what's going on, they are going to do this or that. The communication with them is not that great because they don't speak English. They use online
Mhm.
translators, which is impressive in my opinion, like how they do it, like WeChat, like live real time translating, like
Mhm.
I don't know how they do it, but it's really good. And when you ask too many questions, it can confuse both sides. So I got what I need, and I didn't like bother them too much with more questions.
Mm.
What sort of questions do you ask them at the beginning when you're sort of vetting them? I know we talked about you have very specific outlines or guidelines for them, um, and we talked about it also on your show. But what sort of questions do you ask them to make sure that they are a trustworthy supplier?
So I don't really ask them or have a system to ask them specific questions. We just ask them questions about the product itself, like how long the production, and the questions that we check, like communication, like how fast they reply. Send me big thing where we ask them right away is to send photo and video of the item. Those that don't reply in a day, that means that they don't have it. They either trading company, they either I don't know what they do. It just doesn't feel good to us. We move on. Those that send you a picture or video, which is better, for the item right away, and they're responsive, that's a very good sign. So that's something that we ask right away. Send us a photo of the product. Take a ruler and just show it to us. That's another way for us to also catch things before. We know sometimes you get a quote for, I don't know, a scissor, and in the picture it looks like it's that size, but you didn't really tell them. But when you have a picture with a ruler from all of them, then you spot issues. You see, oh, this guy scissor, it's like tiny or very large. So that's one thing we ask them. MOQ, like general questions, nothing really specific to vet them and see, well, okay, they are trustworthy or like they are good. Not we figure those things by a couple of other factors.
Hmm.
Mm.
A lot
And
of
we
it
check their
just
profile and their location and their name and who they are.
that is important. The profile. It's something that and I'm guessing you don't just look at the verified badge, right? That's not the the only thing you
The
look
end
at.
You
all.
want to see pictures of the factory, like outside, like some people take it further and they send someone. I'm not in a point. I'm like, like I said, I'm still very busy, so I'm trying to focus on what I need. In anything we do, it could be done better. But if you want to take it to the next level, you can have someone go to the factory, check them. I guess like maybe some of your clients we are dealing with, which are bigger with much more resources, they want to make sure that whoever they're working, like they are really really checking that they are legit and good and something really long term, couple of years. And myself, I don't send anyone like yet, maybe in the future.
Yeah, I mean it's a different process for a lot of sellers. They don't need the level of regulation and requirement that, let's say, Walmart or Home Depot, or because I mean Walmart has something called the Walmart Standard, where they actually
Mm.
send an auditor and they tell the factory, hey, these are the improvements that you need to make in order to be compliant, and it's called a critical action report or a CAR, and they'll measure, green, orange, red, and red is like you have to correct this immediately. Orange is,
Mm.
Wow.
this is kind of an issue, but like it's something that could be taken care of in the future. And green is like, okay, this is perfect. We don't have to check you too often. It's a very intricate process. It's a process that's costing them tens of thousands of dollars per factory.
Jeez.
So
Exactly. Exactly.
it's not something that they mess around with. But yeah,
Exactly.
it's not something also that sellers really need, except for the level of, hey, this is a legitimate factory. They have been around for as long as they say they've been around. It's not a trade agent in the middle of Hangzhou. They actually have a factory out in Tonglu or something like that. What
Yeah, I had bad experience with trading companies. Some people say, it's not issue, but I had any big problems. The main problem is that you have really the lack of control and communication. You're having a middleman here, and sometimes like it's very hard to. I don't like it. I don't like working with that because it creates this gap, which I don't like. I like to be responsive and fast and quick, and that's actually like makes everything much slower. And quality, I felt that when you have issue, let's say with an item, then they have to usually most of the items that we source, there are bundles of couple of items. They're what they're doing, the trading companies, they will either get one part from one factory and then another part from a different factory, and then at the end, if there is issue with the quality, like it's a mess for them, and that mess that they will have, usually they will try to get rid of it and just say, oh, it is what it is. I don't know, I didn't have a good experience with that, working with trading companies.
Interesting.
Sourcing agent, when it's someone that you work with couple of items, he knows you already, he knows what you're looking for, you build this relationship. Maybe it's not a good, a bad idea, but for me, the experience that I had with trading companies, like in 2 or 3 instances, wasn't really good.
Well, there's levels to this, right? In trading companies, they tend to be great at very specific items. Let's say they sell this specific mug and they have relationship with this specific mug manufacturer. They understand the process to it. They can get, 100 MOQ and they could sell you that at a decent price. But you are giving up control, and there's a lot of risks involved. They can ghost you. For example, trading agents are very infamous for just leaving the next day, sort of the fly by night. But I've seen some amazing ones that can continue to produce at decent prices. Of course, as you scale up, you want to get closer to the source. And I think that's a very interesting part of supply chain nowadays, is that, people like yourself and other business owners and Amazon sellers are able to get directly factory direct sources. Whereas 15, 20 years ago, it was like you had to be a major brand to try to interact with these manufacturers. And that's what they know, right? They know that they have to get vetted, or they have to have certain certifications, or that they're going to receive very high dollar projects. And nowadays it's, hey, for every one larger business that's sourcing from them, there's 20 Amazon sellers that are contacting them also. So what do you do to prepare before reaching out to these factories or suppliers?
Whether to prepare for what?
For I guess the project overall. I know you tell them the target price, you tell them you look for their level of communication, but in regards to product research, and we talked about this a little bit last week, what do you do to prepare for all of that?
So we do research on what are the current issues and improvements that we need to make with the product. If there is no issues or problems, then we don't mention this, but we just compare it with what already selling well on Amazon. But usually it's a process that we do regardless. We order the competitors, we check, we see, okay, what people like about it, what people don't, what's the size of it, because you can order a product that sells well, people are happy with it, so we just make sure that you get the same kind of quality, or at least the same quality or even better. But you want to give them the specs of the item, like it's 10 inches long, this is the weight of it. The second product that they had, it was the textile that they would saw. So I had to get the current items that sell on Amazon, weigh them, and make a profile on what exactly I need. That's something that you need to do before, like you said, as a preparation. You need to know exactly what you need and what you ask them, because if you're like talk with them, don't really know what you want, they will feel it, and it's gonna create like a lot of back and forth. It's better to be ready and know what you want before you talk with them, because then you can just come up with a list of things, and that's usually done after I send them the message and we talk on WeChat. It needs to be so you ask me what are the things that I ask them. So that's really the first thing related to the product. This needs to be like 100 grams, or just specific specifications of the item, and then if they agree, or they say that's exactly like our item, we have it in stock, we'll ship you a sample like in 2 days, great, shipping the sample. If it's something they have to customize and work, then we do it. Like it takes them, like it's also a factor, because if someone, and I had the case that they told me 30 days to get a sample, like that's too long, so I'm all about speed. Those that are fast, I like to work with them.
Hmm. And do you use virtual assistants for any of this process?
Yes. I'm only getting into the widget group after like we have the list of all of them, and I skim and I choose like the best 2 or 3, and then I start talking with them. I hear that your item can meet expectations. Let's order a sample. Usually the VA sometimes also tell them create the Alibaba order and everything, and I just pay. Um, so that's the process. Everything could be outsourced pretty much.
Yeah, that's
Anything.
No, I was just gonna say, I keep thinking back to, like everything can be outsourced, but going back to the discussion that we had with Galad of like, once you work e-commerce full time and you're working from home, you kind of have the sense of omnipresence of, oh, I can just do it. And like, no, you're right. Everything can be outsourced. Absolutely. And then that's how you become like Carlos. You manage 242 of them and wildly successful.
Yeah, that's
or like
amazing.
Tomer getting another house
Or
in
like
Boca.
Tomer, yes.
I don't want to have 242. Like I want to keep like things small and lean, and sometimes it hurts me because I need to outsource, but it stops me because I'm scared like of managing too many people. Like it's for me, I had in my previous business too many people under me, and it was everyone have their own problem. But if you build it with the right structure, um, it can work definitely. Like having a huge team. Like how these like giant corporations like work, like they have the structure, they have the everything laid out like correctly.
Yeah, you've got to create the hierarchy and have like VAs that are managing other VAs, and to where eventually you're just only talking to 1 or 2 people.
Yeah, exactly. That's the plan.
Yeah. I mean, being a generalist at the beginning is definitely important. And having that generalist team, kind of like the VAs that you were talking about, they could do a bunch of different tasks at one time, and then finding out what those specialists are. How many VAs do you, if you don't mind me asking?
So now we have 3.
Okay. And they're helping you run the entire e-commerce, but not just Amazon, right? This is
They help
the
me with
Shopify's
everything. With everything pretty much, like sometimes even personal stuff, but everything that I do and touch.
And how does that work with you being on the East Coast?
So one of the requirements and things I check before hiring is if they are able and comfortable working Eastern time, because I had previously VAs that I only asked them this after hiring, and then like it creates this conflict, so that's something that it's a requirement. I ask them and make sure they are comfortable with. I also check, do you have kids? Because I had a lot of cases where I hired people with like babies, like with young kids, and they had to take care of them. Like there's no way, and it was like hurting the performance. There is no way around. You have to take care of a baby. I had an employee that she was like still breastfeeding, and she would work and like how can you do it? Like it's impossible, So I asked those questions, even though it's like I asked them. I know it's personal, but do you have kids? Are you like who is taking care of them while you work? I make sure that those things is put them aside like a way before I hire. So those are the things that like with the Eastern time. But the more you work with them, the more that I like to give them flexibility. So I like to work with Trello, and my goals at the end that we will not really communicate during the day. Everything will be done with tasks management, and there is this trust that you build with them, that that when you give them a task, it's done. I'm not chatting with them like during the day. I try not to. Now it's like with training and stuff and new people coming in, yes, but the goal at the end is not really to talk with anyone during the day.
Yeah, those task management platforms are great. We have one VA that we work with. He's over in the Philippines, but we have him more on like a project base as opposed to a daily base. So he can kind of work his own time, but we do everything through Asana, and it's been
It's the same like Trello, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a godsend, honestly.
Yeah. It keeps everything as a reminder, it's organized. You can see the replies. It's really amazing. The technology that we have today, and again, Carlos is really on top of all these like solutions. And I have a list of like 10 or like services that he mentioned there. that I want to try. But you can like use technology really to make your life much easier and automated and controlled, right? You can have like this big business but still have life, you know. That's my dream, you know. People always tell me, oh, you cannot grow. Like, it's especially in my family where my brothers, they also have like they are entrepreneurs in their business, and they say once you go to a certain level you have no life. And you know, I want to prove it wrong. I think that you can have like a big business and still have life, you know.
Mhm.
It's hard because you have to stop yourself a lot of times. Then like, because what got you to success in business, it's working like hard, right? And
Right.
sometimes it's hard to get out of it and just like being with your family. Sometimes I check the phone and see, like, you have to really do the separation, you know.
Mhm. Absolutely. Well, we are coming up on our hour. Francois, if you had any other questions, I think I'll give Tomer a minute to plug.
You
And
you don't want to give me, yeah,
you're
and
right, you're cut off.
because we could dive down in a whole another hour of this, and I say it every episode. And Tomer, I would love to have you back on, and I think, you know, especially as you grow your team, as you continue diversifying these different roles, and right now you're at 3. I hope, you know, when you're at 10, we can get you back on. You can tell us how that experience is.
I hope not soon, really. I don't want to have 10 people like right now, but we'll see, we'll see.
Yeah, no, I mean, we'll see, and things always change.
One thing, I'm sorry to interrupt, that was really affecting me is that I was in the middle of selling like one of my Amazon FBA businesses. So as you know, this process could take months, and I was stuck. I didn't know, should I hire more people now or wait after I sell, or I didn't really know what to do. And then I decided I'm going all in. Like, I'm not selling it. If I'm gonna sell, then I'm gonna deal with the things that happen, but I'm gonna now structure it like I'm not selling it. And at the end, I didn't really sell. It was last February, and I'm gonna wait probably like January after Q4, and then we're gonna sell one of the brands.
Gotcha. Well, we'll have to talk to you about your exit after you make that move.
Yes,
That's a
for
great next
sure.
episode with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully the next time I'll be here as a guest will be after exiting. Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
And in your new home.
And your home. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, if anybody has any questions about Sourcing Monster or about your show, or just anything that we discussed today, how can people get a hold of you?
They can find me through the YouTube channel, again, Sourcing Monster, or Tomer at sourcing-monster.com, or through the website that I see that you put it here.
Yes.
Great. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Yeah, we've got the site on the screen for anybody audio only. It'll be linked in the description of the episode, but it is sourcing-monster.com. And you said that they can email you at Tomer at sourcing-monster.com. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. We'll put that in the description of audio and the video as well.
Yeah, it was really fun. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tomer. We appreciate it. And
thank you, Tomer.
We look forward to talking to you again after your exit.
For sure. We'll be in touch. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye, guys.
Okay, you too. Bye.